This is Romain Goulon of Necrophagist and Monument of Misanthropy, and you are listening to Jet on Metal Messiah Radio.
Good evening, everybody, and welcome to the Metal Magdalene with Jet right here on Metal Messiah Radio. Tonight we have a very special guest with us. We have Romain Goulon on. Now, of course, Romain, best known for his work in Necrophagist as well as a bunch of other projects. He's currently working with a project called Monument of Misanthropy, and he is with us tonight. Welcome to the program, Romain.
Hey guys, how is it going? I'm really pleased to be at the Metal Messiah Radio tonight to share some stuff about my new project. So let's have some fun.
Now, before we get into everything, let's talk a little bit about yourself. Now, where were you born in France?
Well, I was born in Cannes, it's the French southern. I guess everyone has heard about Cannes. It's a French city where the movie festival takes place once a year. So I grew up there. It's such a nice area, you know, you've got pretty much everything, the seas, the mountains, and it's, of course, it's not a music place, you know, but with internet, it's not really a problem anymore, you know.
Okay, Romain, well, growing up as a kid in France, in Cannes, what kind of music did your parents play around the house?
Well, actually, it was not really in the habits in the house, you know. My parents didn't play so much music. My father used to play piano, and he loves ragtimes and jazz, but yeah, it was more in the car, you know, when we drove to the school, and we were always listening to the radio. But I was mainly influenced by my sister, actually. She was listening bands like Guns N' Roses, Nirvana, and Soundgarden, and a lot more.
So, Romain, as a young child, who are some of your favorite bands?
My favorite bands were mainly my sister's favorite bands. So that means Guns N' Roses. She was crazy about Guns N' Roses. She had posters everywhere in her room, and later I was a big fan of Nirvana. And I even tried to influence my brother. We were doing some fake concerts in the room, you know. We were doing some air guitar, and it was really funny. I was like 11 or something.
So how old were you when you started to display drummer tendencies, if you will, banging on pots and pans and the such?
Honestly, I can't remember. I just know that my mother always says I was hitting some stuff in the kitchen or on the table. I just know I tried many hobbies, and I didn't like them. Most of them I didn't like soccer and stuff. I was already dreaming, you know, like an artist. So my mother decided to make me try music, and I tried the drums, and I just loved it. It was basically the most interesting I had ever done.
At what age did you get your first drum set, and do you remember what brand it was and if you still have it?
Started playing drums at the age of 12, I guess, and yeah, I started practicing without a drum kit. I just had a pair of sticks, basically, and a practice pad. And 2 years later, so at the age of 14, my father bought me a drum kit. You know, it was a surprise. I was just like crazy. And about the brand, I can't remember, but it was some kind of cheap drums, you know. But it was way enough to start with, you know. And right now, I can't remember if I have still some pieces, but I'm not sure about it.
Now, Romain, drums are a pretty noisy hobby. Were your parents supportive of your drumming?
Oh yes, they were. I had a room where I could practice drums, and as soon as I had some average or good results at school, it was fine. They didn't require too much from me. So they have always been supporting me.
Now, when was it that you really started becoming fond of metal?
I guess, like many people on the earth, I discovered metal with hearing Metallica, and I was 12, and I discovered first the Black Album, and I was with my best friend, and then we were sharing tapes, and it made me listen to the older album, and I went into more brutal music then, you know, with Slayer and Pantera later.
Now, did you ever take lessons or have any professional training?
I went to the music conservatory in Cannes during 8 years, and I had two teachers. The first was more a percussionist guy, so he was into marching band, marching snare, and I learned a lot of technique, rudiments, and so on. And then I had another teacher who was more typical classic rock, pop, and jazz drummer, so I learned quite a lot of patterns, feels, and skills in general. And out of the conservatory, I learned by myself by watching videos, listening to male music bands, and jazz rock bands and drummers as well, such as Dave Weckl or Steve Gadd, and so on.
What was the first band you actually played in?
Yeah, I remember the first meeting with musicians. They were my sister's friends, and they were quite older than me, actually. So I was really nervous and a little tensed, you know, and they were drinking beers and they didn't care, you know. I just showed up with a pair of sticks and then we played, we tried covers, and then after the first couple of rehearsals we started to write songs, and yeah, it was really fun actually, yeah. It's the first band.
Now, Romain, do you remember your first experience on stage for the first time and how it felt for you?
Yes, I remember. Actually, the first stage was in a small pub, so there wasn't a lot of people, but I was still very stressed. We were like 3 bands playing there, and I was watching the first couple of drummers, you know, and I was really stressed, you know, because there were experienced guys, so I was quite intimidated, and then I started playing, you know. The first song was like I was somewhere else, you know. The stress was really strong, but at the same time, you know, it was, yeah, a mix of stress and exciting, you know, feelings. So it was quite fun actually. After a couple of songs, I was just more relaxed, and I discovered something really exciting, and still nowadays, you know, I'm stressed on stage, but I guess like most musicians.
Okay, Romain, here's a question that's on everybody's mind. Tell us about Necrophagist. Do they still exist as a band, and are you still in it?
Yes, that's the first common question I have in my email box or Facebook account or social networks in general, as you can guess. So I will clearly answer your questions. Yes, I'm still in Necrophagist as a drummer, and yes, Necrophagist is planning to release a new album. And I really understand why people wonder why it's not been released before and stuff, you know. But people don't always imagine all the situations we went through. And we went through troubles with the lineup, for example. So don't worry, you know, Necrophagist will release a new album. I know it takes time, it takes years, but I don't want to promise a schedule, you know. You will see, just stay tuned, and I'm sure you will have updates maybe within a couple of months or a little more, but I can't promise, you know, but I'm really excited about it, and I hope it's going to be fun, you know, so stay tuned.
So, Romain, tell us about Monument of Misanthropy and the reason behind starting the band and who's in it.
It's a project named Chaotist in 2002 or something, with Jean-Pierre on the guitar, me on the drums, and Disaster on the vocals. So by the way, I would like to thank Disaster for his work in the band back then. So we were rehearsing once a week, sharing jokes and bullshit, you know, and drinking beers and stuff, you know. So the goal was to write brutal songs with blast beats everywhere almost, and war riffings and stuff, you know, and brutal vocals. Basically, it was just having fun, you know. And then we gave up the project for some reasons. And 10 years later, Jean-Pierre and me met again. Jean-Pierre knew George from Australia, and we met. We decided to re-record the old songs under the name of Monument of Misanthropy.
Romain, how would you explain to people the type of music that Monument of Misanthropy plays?
Usually, I never wonder what type of music I'm playing when I'm in a band or a project, but I would say it's close to standard and straight brutal death metal. And the purpose here was to definitely not to be original, but playing straight songs and brutal songs. I've always been thinking that there is some kind of sense of humor in brutal music, you know. And personally, I didn't put any original skills on the drumming, you know. It's only straight drumming and bomb blast and a lot of fast fills and stuff. And yeah, the guys, Jean-Pierre and Georges, did an amazing work on the guitar and the vocals, you know. It's insane.
So let's talk about the new album, Anger Mismanagement. What's the album basically all about?
It's a kind of horror trip into the depths of a darkened and angry soul. The cover very well says it, all displaying the Monument of Misanthropy. You can see a humanoid monster leaving a wake of devastation behind. If you want, it's like an allegory of today's youth, sickened by troubles, you know, by the global financial crisis, for example, unemployment, by the whole environmental situation, and an industry that only aims to exploit this planet till there is nothing left, actually, you know. I mean, we're living on a planet whose ice caps are melting and the oil industry's fat cats are already fighting for the new fields, you know. If that's not a sick society we live in, then I don't know what it is, you know. That's the main idea, that's the concept.
So how did you go about writing and recording this album?
As I said before, we already had the songs from the old time, and then George added his crazy vocals. He recorded his vocals at Stéphane Cachel's Audio Riot recording studio. Jean-Pierre and me recorded the drums, guitars and bass around Cannes, you know, and by the way, we would like to thank Mamad and Camille Mougin. Stéphane Cachel mixed the album, and Christophe Brandes from the Iguana Studios in Germany did the mastering. So we're really happy about the result. You know, it sounds very brutal and raw in a way. You know, it sounds natural. You know, we didn't want a fake drumming or stuff like we can hear everywhere nowadays. You know. So it sounds quite natural and old-fashioned, I would say.
So how many tracks are on this album, and tell us about the creator cover that you guys did, Flag of Hate, and why you decided to add it to this album.
Well, we've got 9 songs in total, and regarding creator, I think Jean-Pierre and Georges liked the song since their teenager days and thought it would get in well to the whole atmosphere on the album. And I also think it's one of the best brutal thrash songs of the early 80s European thrash metal scene, you know. So it's pretty cool for a last song, I suppose.
Romain, tell us about how this album is being funded and when we can expect a release.
We've been doing a crowdfunding campaign, and it worked pretty well, actually. We were really positively surprised. And so, you know, it's a self-produced album, and we're not under any label or whatever. And the album is for March.
So when do you expect the band to be out doing shows and maybe doing some touring?
Well, I would say it's a little bit soon to talk about gigs, but we have some offers from festivals and more. Why not? Although I wouldn't teach you anything if I say that the metal business is really hard nowadays, and especially this band is quite underground project, you know. So of course we expect people to react well when listening to the album, and we'll see, you know, where it leads, you know. Why not? Why not? Playing gigs and stuff, you know. First, I was more thinking about a studio project, but of course we never know. And although it's not easy to leave your job, you know, it has to worth it. So we'll see, but yeah, why not? Playing nice gigs or festivals, we're pretty excited about it.
Romain, you are very well known in the world of drummers. Tell us about some of your endorsements and sponsors and what kind of kit you play on now and why.
Yes, I'm endorsed by Tama for the drums, Miner for the cymbals, Evans for the drum heads, and Promark for the sticks. And Serial Drummer, which is a company making merchandising, t-shirts, hoodies, and a lot of stuff. Basically, I'm really happy about my endorsements because I think they represent me the best. I really love them.
Okay, so tell people what sites they can go to keep up with Monument of Misanthropy and get merch and that kind of thing.
Well, to keep up with Monument of Misanthropy, you can like us on the Facebook's band site and so on, you know, my personal Facebook or whatever. And have a look at our Reverb Nation site as well. The date for the worldwide CD release is set for the March 15, 2014, of course. And then it will be up as a digital download CD on iTunes, Spotify, Amazon, MP3, and also as a physical CD on our Brick Cartel shop, where you can also buy some t-shirts and gears and stuff. So stay tuned.
Okay, Romain, well, thank you very much for taking the time to do this interview with us here at the Metal Magdalene, and best of success to you and the band. We look forward to hearing you and seeing more of you guys.
Thank you so much, and I wish the best for the Metal Messiah Radio, and yeah, take care, and goodbye, people.